Good evening and welcome to the another edition of the Championship Review. Championship Review. We are on Matchday 9. I'm your host, Carl Levy. Yes, we've got loads to talk about, including some interesting games over this past weekend. The biggest game was actually between Sunderland and Leeds United. We'll talk more about that later on. But joining me, as usual, we would have had another guest on tonight, but because this guest has not been on for a while since his beloved Leicester City went up to the top of the table, and there was a rare feat for a team that he hates, Coventry City. Somehow we would have had him on after his team won yesterday, but we did. But you know what? I've got my usual sidekick. It's Michael. Michael, how you doing?
How dare and have a social life. I said that to you before we started recording, didn't I? So yeah, it's like since he's got promoted, he suddenly started going out and he started like living the higher life. No, we're just joking. We love you, and but yeah, get yourself on. This would have been the perfect opportunity. The Leicester beat Bournemouth yesterday to get their first Premier League win. Coventry losing the last minute, which you figured Ant would have absolutely loved it, but no, he says he's out. Not good enough.
I know, social life, eh? Yeah.
Absolutely, overrated anyway.
I know, I know, I
How are
know.
you doing anyway?
I'm not too bad. I'm a little bit more better. I know
Are you
tonight.
better now than what you were 10 o'clock Friday night?
Well, I had to take that rant on the Saturday show yesterday to the rant of the certain fans with via abuse at Mezier, when you should realise he's probably the only keeper who's played more than 200 games over the past 7 years or so, or more over the last 7 since we had collaborative goalkeepers for a long time. But yeah, I'm okay now. Do you know what? He's got to take the criticism, but you can't go too far with it. And I talked to her about that yesterday. If everyone wants to
Yeah.
watch it, yeah, please go watch the Saturday show broadcast of that, because I did need to say what I needed to say. And I made some points to you guys in the group chat as well. So
You did. Well, to be fair, there's a fine line between criticism and then downright abuse towards someone. When we're in an age where mental health, particularly for men, matters. I mean, we remember that, yeah, footballers get paid a lot of money, and we all know that, but it doesn't mean that they're immune from emotions, and it doesn't mean they're immune from struggling when people decide to hurl vile abuse at them. I mean, for goodness sake, obviously, you look at last week when we saw a minority in the Sheffield Wednesday fan base mock someone who passed away. So it's like, unfortunately, the world's full of some idiots. But yeah, it's but obviously, I do appreciate on Friday at that point emotions were probably very highly charged among the Leeds fans, and
it's not
yeah,
it's every single day. It's not just Fridays.
well, yeah, that is
Day.
true. Yeah, okay. Friday it was especially heightened in the circumstances. Then that might be the better way to phrase it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, look. Melier will know himself. He made a mistake, but and to be fair, even our head coach Reggie Lebris was actually very quick to defend him. So, it was definitely a hell. We'll get onto it later, I'm sure, but it was definitely interesting. But yeah, abuse is not all right.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not, actually. And do you know what? We'll save our game later on until at the last anyway. I'm gonna look at one of the key games of Saturday. I will look at the Saturday lunchtime game between Burnley and Preston. It was a 0-0 draw, Michael. But are you surprised that Emma Reese, was wrongly ruled out for offside when the official just put his flag up so quickly?
I feel like how many times I don't know how many new ways I can say this, but with the state of the officials in the championship, no, I'm not surprised. Because, well, to be fair, it's not the ref. This is more the linesman, isn't it? Or lines official. I don't know whether it was a male or a female. It doesn't
It
really
was a
matter
male,
what.
so yeah.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't really matter what gender it was. It was a poor decision either way. Yeah, Preston will feel aggrieved at that, and rightly so. And it was actually a good finish from Reese as well. But yeah, I'm not surprised by the officiating being that poor. But to be fair, I think a point at Burnley is probably much better than what a lot of realistic Preston fans would probably have expected going into it, even though it is a Lancashire derby. But it's still a cracking result for Preston. And I suppose the narrative from the main takeaway from the game is that from Burnley's point of view, it was a missed opportunity to take advantage of us two taking points off each other because they would have gone top with a victory. I was happy about it because it meant we stayed top. But yeah, this was one of the games I thought for sure, Burnley's got to win this surely. Before this game, Preston had only got 1 point away from home, which was a 1-1 draw at Middlesbrough at the start of midway through September. Sorry. So, but for them to get, but it's a creditable point. Not many teams can go to Turf Moor and probably come away with certainly a clean sheet or a point, let alone a clean sheet on top of that. So, from what I watched of them the second half, they did really well to frustrate Burnley. Had arguably as many decent chances as they did, and I thought were well worthy of getting a point.
Yeah, absolutely as well. A good point for Paul Hickenbottom. I know he's had a bit of a poor few results a couple of weeks since he became manager as well. But that's a good vital point. Get your rivals in Lancashire, really is as well. I'm going to look at the other games, and the big game was Norwich continued their unbeaten run at Carrow of up to 20 league games after an impressive 4-0 victory against Hull City. And is this now are we starting to see the real Norwich now, Michael? Because they got the draw against us on Tuesday night. They had really good chances as well, but Saturday they were tremendous as well. It really was.
It was a Borosine show, wasn't it? Got a goal, got 2 assists within the game. Obviously, the pick of the goals was the first one from Marcelo Nunes. I think
Yeah.
I know Nunes is his surname, but I'm shy to pronouncing names. But the first goal from Nunes couldn't have hit that any better if he tried to. Couldn't have hit it more sweetly, accurately into the corner. But from there, it looked like Norwich just completely dismantled Hull and didn't seem to and Hull just didn't seem to have a response for it. It was 2-0 up till the 66th minute though, which was quite weird. But obviously Hull played themselves into trouble for the third goal, I believe it was, that Gordon ended up scoring. But from Norwich point of view, I think we are starting to see that actually, yes, okay, they lost Gabriel Sarra, they lost who's the other one, Johnny Rowe in the summer, but some of the additions that they've made seem to be very astute ones. Callum Doyle, in particular, who also got an assist, funnily enough. Callum Doyle seems to be a very, very impressive acquisition in defence, but also their quality going forward. Like you see, you got Nunes, you got Sainz, you got Josh Sargent being, of course, the main one. You've got a lot of really, really good players, promising players there. And this Norwich team, really, I think it's capable. I don't know whether it finishes in the playoffs, but it's definitely capable of challenging for it, I would say. And I think Carrow Road, what was it, 20 games you said that
Yeah.
are unbeaten at home. So that's impressive. Whatever way you want to look at it, that's impressive. So I would be very I think it's been a pretty good week for Norwich. I mean, obviously I think they won away at Derby last week, which they were obviously, we said last week they were very fortuitous, but you take the win. They obviously got a draw against you lot and then beat Hull comfortably. So I don't think this week could have gone much better if you're a Norwich fan. From Hull's point of view, I guess just in case the better team just turned up on the day, and I think Hull. Well, I'm hoping they don't respond off the international break because they've got Sunderland next. But I think there will Norwich, and then after Sunderland, though there will be quote unquote easier fixtures. There's no easy games in the Championship, obviously, but there's on paper more favourable ones for them. But from Norwich, 4-star display.
Absolutely 4-star display for Norwich yesterday as well. Go to Fratton Part. What Lewis Selby rescuing a point for Oxford United against Portsmouth. Portsmouth could have won this game actually, but Jamie Cumming came to the rescue with a penalty from Allosaurus and he saved it. But Portsmouth had a good chance nearly at the end of the game, but they hit the post and still didn't even go in. Luckily, the keeper Jamie Cumming didn't even touched it to fall into the net. But is it a good point for both of these teams, or do you think it's a missed opportunity for Pompey?
That missed chance you're thinking of, that's Siriki Dembele's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. For Oxford, I think it's a good point. I think going 1-0, I mean, obviously they could have won late on, but obviously Pompey had the penalty from Sorensen, which the keeper managed to save. And they went 1-0 down again, and obviously their former winger, I keep getting them mixed up, Josh Murphy, ended up providing an assist against his old club. From Oxford's point of view, a point on the road, because we said that Oxford, up until I think it was actually this week, they've got 2 draws on the road, drawn away at Luton on Tuesday night, I believe it was, and then you're drawn away at Portsmouth. That's 2 quite long trips down south. So to end up coming up, I say down south, Luton's not even coming up to London, is it really? But I suppose that's just a northern thing.
Yeah.
Thinking everywhere but below, like Yorkshire's down south. But either way, from Oxford's point of view, really, really good point. They managed to get a few home wins early doors, but they've drawn their last 3, which was against Burnley, Luton, and Portsmouth. Now, if you look at it this way, Pompey away from home, we know how difficult Fratton Park's atmosphere can be for visiting teams. Got a credible point against Burnley last time out. So I think it's a very, very solid point for Oxford, coming back from 1-0 down to get something, and they're starting to pick up points away from home. From Pompey, we did say, I suppose they needed to see some sort of bounce back from the absolute very close game at Stoke on Wednesday night, when Tom Cannon scored 4 and Stoke absolutely obliterated Pompey 6-1. They needed to see some sort of response and owed the fans that. And it sounded to me like they did end up seeing it. They obviously got a penalty, which had they gone ahead in that game, who knows, then everything could have turned very differently. In terms of the goals, O'Mahony, it was actually a pretty good, decent, clever finish actually when the ball comes in from Josh Murphy from the right hand side and he manages to toe poke it, but it's accurately gone past the keeper into the bottom corner. Sibley's finish was really, really good, although he had probably the freedom of Fratton Park to try and aim a shot there. So it keeps things ticking over for Portsmouth to a degree, but I did say before, and I think you agreed that when you look at their first 7 games, fair enough, they weren't expected to win any of them really. Now we're into the stage where we need to start seeing Pompey win a couple of games here. I do think they will. I don't think they'll go much longer than without a first league win, but they need to make sure that we can. If you're not going to win, then at least keep getting points ticking over, and then when you do start to win, the draws look much better for them.
Absolutely. Before we go move on to that, there was a bit of a controversy in Mad race with a racial abuse to one of the linesmen in the game.
Yes, I heard about that.
And Portsmouth came out with a statement. We are serious against discrimination. We'll investigate, on the incident, and then we'll hope for we'll have their review after review during the international break. You get why would a Pompey fan would racial abuse one of the linesmen? I don't know.
It's not even just a Pompey fan issue. I mean, first of all, why would a Pompey fan do that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why anyone in general does that. We're supposed to be living in a multicultural society and one where different races, different genders, different. I was going to say species, but it sounds quite animalistic, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. Different walks of life and different nationalities, people, whatever. We're all humans at the end of the day. Like, why? I don't understand what being racist or even on a different term, homophobic, sexist, whatever it is. What does it benefit? All it does is cause, unless you wanted to cause drama, well, you've got a sick sense of humour in causing it then, put it that way.
Yeah.
As for the thoughts go out to the Lions official who had to put up with that, because that is not, it's not tolerable. It is downright racism if that did allegedly happen. Not disputing it that they're lying or anything, but obviously we need to know the full facts first. But either way, that did happen. It's right that this person is shamed, probably even named, to be honest, because you want to keep making an example of people and just say, no, we don't accept this. It's not tolerable within our culture, society, whatever. Stop effing doing it. It's ridiculous. So yeah, thoughts go out to that Lions official because it's obviously not going to be pleasant. But I imagine that the vast majority of Pompey fans would renounce and disown this particular supporter.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully, we'll know more about that in due course during the international break.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go down to the CBS arena and
the result that Anth would have been happy about had he bothered to come on.
Exactly. Sheffield United, got the win at Coventry, winning 2-1. Leeds with the Sky Blues with just 1 win in 7 matches. A goal from Jack Rudy in the 26th minute for the host, but Gossamer scored just before half time. Before Shea Charles on loan from South just scored the winner in the 93rd minute. Listen, again, if Anthony was here, he'd be mocking Coventry City right now because of that loss. This is the fans booed in that game. The whole fans booed to the players yesterday. It's so much under pressure for Matt Robbins.
Yeah, this is, again, it feels like we're having the same sort of conversation about Coventry at the minute, week in, week out. But at the end of the day, for me, they have got the players to be doing a lot better than what they actually are. I mean, and I've said this is the first real time that there probably is pressure on Mark Robbins. Not from every Coventry fan, because obviously whether people want him out depends entirely on who you ask. But the longer this continues, this is going to grow. Not animosity, but the unrest is going to grow among the start of the season. And again, if you look at the money that's been spent over the last couple of years, now I know they lost Gyökeres and Hamer a year ago, and as I've said loads of times, last season you could almost tolerate the slow start, not excuse it, but you could tolerate it in the sense that it was a get to know you process, and a lot of people had to really get to know each other. Whereas this season, as I've repeatedly claimed, it's not really much of an excuse this time around. And if you look at just off the money that they've spent off the top of my head, Thomas Asante, Jack Radoni, Hadji Wright, Ellis Sims, and there's going to be other ones that I'm completely forgetting to mention that you can correct me on if I've missed anyone. But either way, they've spent quite a bit of money, and at this point, we need to start seeing the fruits of that. Because for me, this Coventry squad should be competing for the playoffs. If I'm honest, I think there is enough quality within this squad to be competing in the playoffs. And the problem that Coventry are going to have, I mean, how many points are they off the playoffs at the minute? 8 points. Now, obviously, at this stage of the season, 3 results swing in Coventry's favour can change that. But again, we've said this before, we need to start seeing them actually do it. And the longer that they go on here, well, I was going to say the longer they go on here, there could be fears about being in a relegation battle, which I don't think they're going to be. I think they will pull clear of that. But the fact we're even talking about Coventry being in this part of the table with the squad they've got is ridiculous. For Mark Robbins, I mean, I think it's about nuance, isn't it? I think a lot of Coventry fans would accept that he will love the fact that he's got them from the reaches of League Two to 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago, one spot kick away from the Premier League. But now there comes a point where there's going to be more and more pressure, and probably fairly so, really, given the money that they've spent. So, and at some point, as you know, Coventry got into the Championship 2 years ahead of Sunderland, for example. But yeah, Coventry, they should be past the point of just being an established Championship club at this point. They need to start seeing that even if they don't get into the Premier League, they need to be challenging for it. Now, that could still happen. That could still happen over the course of getting to the playoffs, because there's still, 30, hang on, let me see if I get my maths right, 37 games left to play. There's loads of points to play for, but the longer it goes on, the more unrest is going to continue, rightly so. But I'll not take it. But obviously, while that'll be the talking point and frustration from the game, I will say this for Sheffield Wednesday: what a way to win the game, and what a time to win the game. And I've forgotten the name. Hang on, Gassama. What a hit for it! Actually, would be one of the contenders for goal of the month. And Shea Charles scoring in the last minute. Now, from Sheffield Wednesday's perspective, it's also been an incredible week. Beating West Brom. And remember, that was a character building win in a lot of ways, because they were 2-0 up, back to 2-2 to then win the game.
Yeah.
They then got a 0-0 draw away at Bristol City, which was a pretty dull game from what I watched of it on Wednesday night, but nevertheless, it's a point on the road for Sheff Wed. I believe that was their first point away from home this season, and then this is their first win away from home. So to get 4 points in 2 away games, bearing in mind, they'd have played a day later in midweek than Coventry and would have gone to basically near South Wales, and then have to travel up back to the Midlands. That's a lot of travelling within 2.5 days, basically. So, yeah, I think it's a very encouraging sign from Danny Rowell, and it comes back to what I was saying. Even when Sheffield Wednesday were having their struggle, I guess you could say, after the loss to the likes of Sunderland, Leeds, Millwall, they were really. I did say that with Danny Rowell, I'm confident, and the squad they had really would have been good enough to get them well clear of the relegation battle. And I still would think Sheffield Wednesday can finish top half this season. So yeah, Coventry, woes continue. They've got to be better, to sum it up. But from Sheffield Wednesday's point of view, cracking week, cracking result.
Absolute cracking week for the Owls yesterday as well. Let's go to Pride Park. A really good win for Derby, winning 2-0 against QPR. Goals from Curtis Nelson, his header in his second goal of the season. But what another shot! This could be another goal.
It will be. What a hit this was.
Harness as well. Yeah, really good week. Good decent week for Derby. That's the probably best win so far of the start of the season.
It's the best win. I think it's probably maybe second best. I think Middlesbrough is probably their most impressive result. But this was really good in the sense that I was going to say Coventry again now because I had them in my head. Derby, obviously last Saturday, as I said, against Norwich, they were really shafted by the officials and probably deserved something out of the game, to be honest. And even at Sunderland in midweek, they started fairly well. They actually started fairly brightly first 10 minutes, but they just didn't have the quality to get a goal ahead, and they didn't have the quality to keep Sunderland out. These are the type of games that will, like I've said with Paul Pompey, fixtures like this, QPR at home, are what will probably decide Derby's fate this season to some degree. I mean, that's put them on 12 points. Can't complain too much, really. I mean, again, it's early days, but they're 5 points clear of QPR, who are 27th. But Derby's home form is going to be absolutely essential if they're going to have a chance of stopping up this season. And the main thing for them is that, and for Paul Warne as well, we need to remember, because he's yet to keep a team up in the Championship. But again, Derby, as I've said before, should have much bigger resources than what Rotherham have, and with all due respect, are a much bigger club. But with Derby, though, they just need to start squeaking points away from home, because I think they haven't picked up any points away from home yet this season, have they? No. So they need to start getting the habit. If they're winning home games, then that's brilliant. Just start picking up the odd draw away from home or the odd result away from home, and they'll be nowhere, and they should be absolutely nowhere near it. And it was also quite funny. I saw that they scored 2 goals with literally in a matter of a minute, which was quite amusing, or within 2 minutes of each other. So that was quite. So from QPR's point of view, QPR are a bit lower than what I thought they would be, because I really rated the job Cifuentes did at the back end of last season. I'm not for one second advocating that questions will be asked of him. Serious questions about his future.
I don't think there's any serious questions.
I don't think there is either. No, I agree. I don't think there is. I mean, the longer this goes on, that'll probably change. But at the minute, I don't think there is. I think QPRs need to get in the habit again of probably similar to what Derby away from home. Maybe just when they start being more solid and start maybe drawing games because they've lost quite a fair few recently. So I think QPR will improve, should improve with the manager they've got. But from Derby's, but it's the main thing is for Derby. They're taking the championship by storm, particularly at Pride Park.
Absolutely, I've been as well. Let's go to home park. What a top up and down game this one.
Oh
Wayne
no.
Rooney getting sent off as well. But Plymouth somehow get the win against Blackburn. Goal from Obafemi in the 50th minute. Rankin Costello scored the equaliser in the 86th, and in the 97th minute, Morgan Whittaker getting the winner. But I have to say, it was a dramatic game, especially Rooney getting sent off after, only for I don't know
A
why it was like
controversial Blackburn goal, I think it was. I
that
think it
was
should have been
what it was. He did there should be foul up to the build up, but yeah, and he remonstrated the fourth official, and then yeah,
yeah, and then the rest is history. Then he's got an early vacation to the stands. I'll get the Blackburn out of the way first. From Blackburn, I think that if you get level at that point in the game, to then still lose it would be very infuriating because if you if say for example you come away with a 1-1 draw, considering that Sunderland and Luton have both lost recently at home park, if you're Blackburn, you go right, fine, point away at Plymouth, long journey, been good at home in the last few games, take it, move on. But so from John Eustace, he'll be disappointed. But again, I think from Blackburn's point of view, I mean, they've had a tough week in terms of had 2 back-to-back away defeats. But yeah, they're still in a pretty strong position, and they're in a strong position. A lot of people before their first game at home, if you remember, they kicked off the championship at home to Derby on the Friday night.
yeah,
Before that started, I think it meant some people were tipping Blackburn to get relegated, and that was before Sammy Smodix left. So they've still started really well. So I think Blackburn will be all right. As for Plymouth, yeah, that's good character. When you've conceded an equaliser, as you've seen yourself, sometimes when you concede an equaliser, your heads drop and the momentum's with the team that's just scored against you. So Blackburn, for all I know, could have had the momentum in the last, well, in the end, 10 minutes, including added time, to go and win the game, to sort of hold their own and then basically respond by getting a victory again, albeit with Rooney being sent to the stands, which was quite funny, I must admit. But with Whittaker, he's proven what an important player he is. But he's not the only one, mate. Obafemi on loan from was it Burnley? Yeah, on loan from Burnley is really starting to show his worth here. Decent finish for the first goal, and then obviously Whittaker shows how important he is for the second one. And it's three straight home park wins for Wayne Rooney, isn't it? So
yeah.
you know what? I was very critical about the idea of when Plymouth appointing Wayne Rooney. So far, do you know what? I think I'm going to have to start eating some humble pie.
I
And
know
good, and,
we all are at the
yeah,
moment.
and good
Yeah.
for Plymouth. I quite like Plymouth. I quite like them as a football club. So good
I
for
like
them.
the way how after the struggles they had financially over the
Oh
years, where
yeah,
they could have gone down, they could have gone to Nongs, but the way they've transformed the club in a way to rebuild themselves it was vital, not for the club, but for the city as well, because that's one of the few cities have never been in the top flight football. So it is vital for that city and as well as the club itself.
absolutely. And they'll want to re-establish themselves as a championship team to then be able to kick on to try and get to the Premier League. And if you look at it, I mean, you could argue smaller clubs than Plymouth have been in the Premier League. So why can't Plymouth have that sort of dream? But yeah, and fair play to them. And I'll tell you another player who is starting to become more and more important for Plymouth the more I watch him, Ibrahim Sissoko.
Yeah,
Um, again, like I said, against Sunderland, Trey Hume for me, our right back is one of the best right backs in the league. Sissoko tore him to shreds. He absolutely tore him to shreds when we played Plymouth. And Sissoko tore Luton to shreds when he played against them. Got an assist here. I think Plymouth will be very, very fortunate to keep hold of him beyond this season if he keeps performing the way he is. Because again, and obviously this is no disrespect intended to Plymouth, but bigger clubs will start to circle around Sissoko. But also you've got to credit Wayne Rooney and Plymouth for the signing of Sissoko, because that's complemented what's a pretty good attack. Obafemi, Whittaker, Sissoko, Ryan Hardy, just to name a few of them. They look really, really good. Ballymumba's obviously someone I'm a big fan of. They've got, and actually if they make Home Park a fortress, why shouldn't Plymouth be all right? It's a long way to go, obviously, but yeah, cracking, really good for Plymouth. 3 straight home wins. You can't really ask for much more than that.
no, you can't. You can't from them at the moment. Going to Bramall Lane, Sheffield United winning 2-0 against Luton. Your son Saki scored both goals. They looked really good, Sheffield United. And despite the points deduction, I think that's not really bothered them too, quite honestly. Yeah, they just got on with their business despite the issues in the boardroom with the financial situation with the takeover stuff. But Chris Wilder's done what he's supposed to do. His job is to try to get this club challenging for the championship.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Raksaki probably was sought after by quite a number of clubs. Yeah, exactly. And a coup for Sheffield United to get hold of him. I think obviously Luton, this was one of the games I fancied kind of an upset really to happen, which is quite weird considering these two were in the Premier League last year and one looks so much better than the other at the moment. Yeah, I think the thing I would say from Sheffield United's point of view, I mean, first of all, they should really be top of the Championship because obviously they had the -2 points deduction. But at the end of the day, I would argue, apart from Norwich and maybe Watford, they haven't played anyone yet who's really going to test them. For example, the game at Leeds after the international break is by a country distance their hardest game that they'll have had.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about you guys when we come on to the Sunderland Leeds game. But that's going to be a game that for me will be a much bigger marker of where they're going to be this season. I've no doubt in my mind they've got the quality for at minimum a top 6 finish. I'm not worried about them in that regard. For top 2, well, they're obviously there in second place at the moment. And I'm sure Sheffield United fans would snap your hand off for that if they were offered it. But, you know, if they keep this form up, absolutely, there's no reason why they can't. And to be fair, regardless of who they've played against, they've kept, is it 6 straight clean sheets now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and to be fair, regardless of who you're playing, that's impressive. To be fair, you know, to not just win. I think to win, I think it's 5 of 6 they've won, I believe, because I think they drew 0-0 at Portsmouth. But to keep 6 straight clean sheets and stop the opposition scoring, fair play to them for that. That's really, really encouraging. This seemed as comfortable a victory as it was probably destined to be from Sheffield United, given Luton at the moment. And with regards to Luton, there was a couple of people that were in the Luton away end that were sort of going, Rob Edwards sorted out. Now, I'm quite glad they weren't saying Rob Edwards get out of our club or anything like that, because I think that would be very, very fickle, for want of a better word.
Yeah, but it could change in the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, as of right now, it's fickle. Yeah, if this continues, then fair enough. Then questions are going to be asked. More questions are going to be asked. I'm surprised. I think if you're asking accolades about who's been the surprise package or who's underachieved the most, I think Luton would probably fit into the latter camp at the moment. I expected a bit more from Luton than what they've ended up showing so far. But as I've said before, is this a case that they're struggling? This is the first season where people are expecting them to do well, and they're not able to sort of cope with it as much. Whereas beforehand, they've kind of almost live and breathe the underdogs thing, didn't they? So with this season, they can't really do that. Again, I think it will improve for Luton, but it would be a massive shame if it turns sour for Rob Edwards, given what he's ended up doing for them over the last couple of years. But, you know, it's all about Sheffield United, this. It's a really good result, and it sets them up for, again, a mouth-watering clash against Leeds after the international break.
It certainly does. It certainly does indeed. Let's go to Swansea.com stage. It was a 0-0 draw between Swansea and Stoke. I know Swansea remained unbeaten at home, but I have to say both goalkeepers for both teams played quite well, actually, to not concede not letting a clean sheet slip away from them.
Yeah, it's one of the, you know, sometimes you get 0-0s that tend to be like,
yeah.
But to be fair, I mean, and again, I am appreciating this is just off highlights off the EFL highlight show, but from the stats here, it didn't seem to be a particularly boring game. There was Swansea had 19 shots, Stoke had 10 of them, so it was 30 shots across the game. Granted, on target, they're always going to have fewer on target. 5 shots to Stoke's 4, but there were quite some decent chances. Tom Cannon in particular had 2 of them. So, you know, this seemed a pretty interesting one. So again, it's funny when you. I mean, the BBC Match Report says Swansea remain unbeaten at home in the Championship this season, but were unable to find a way past Stoke City in a frustrating goalless draw. The phrase "frustrating goalless draw."
That's what I'm reading on here as well.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's literally what I've got. Reading all of the scores on here to keep up to date. Oh, there you go. Good minds think alike then. But either way,
I use it all the time. So
you've got a tablet. You've got you're better prepared than me.
Yeah.
But either way, like, frustrating goalless draw for me implies that chances were there and should have been put away. So to me, if you have boring 0-0s, this did not seem like a boring 0-0. It seemed like both teams did attempt to try and win the game. It was just that either the goalkeepers were good or the finishing wasn't very good. Yeah. But by the way, solid point for Stoke on the road, I will say.
Absolutely, yeah, good point for Stoke, especially that thumping 6-1 win against Portsmouth early in the week.
Yeah, you want to build on that, don't you, by getting something in the next game. So yeah, there's a bit more confidence there now for them.
Absolutely, and let's go into the last 3 games. Defeat for Middlesbrough, losing 2-1 away at Watford. I have to say, what a turnaround for the Hornets. But Middlesbrough took the lead quite well early in the game, in the 54th minute. But they had good chances, Middlesbrough, but they didn't
They did.
capitalise on it. But good win for Tom Clevery's team.
Well, I tell you what, Vicarage Road, they haven't. It's only Coventry. I think they've took something from there actually. So I think
Yeah.
they've, off the top of my head, they've beaten Stoke, Derby. They drew with Coventry, beat Sunderland, beat Middlesbrough. So yeah, look, I still don't think Watford will be where they are
No.
later on in the season. At least not right now. They might be challenging for the playoffs, but I don't think they'll finish in the top 6. But yeah, but to be fair, when you look at the negativity that was going into Watford at the start of the season, I think even the most optimistic of Watford fan wouldn't have predicted much better, if better than what they've done now. And yeah, to be fair, that's a really good, impressive win. And winning from behind's always got good character to them as well. Even in the game against Sunderland a week ago, we had enough. We played well enough, in my opinion, to at least get a point. But they stuck at it and managed to get. And albeit it was through a penalty, but they still managed to win the game. So yeah, and obviously so it was a good way to bounce back from losing 3-0 at Preston in the midweek action. So Watford, very very good result and very good to turn it around with so late on in the game. From again with Middlesbrough, it seems to me like it's always at least at kindest 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because they obviously beat Stoke a week ago. They had a fantastic win at the Hawthorns on Tuesday night, and it just seems to me like Middlesbrough seem to have an example of not finishing chances and conceding sloppy goals at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I can't remember which one it was. At least one of Watford's goals was a really, really good goal. I think it might have been the second one.
It was the
really,
second one, actually. It
I
was.
thought it was, yeah.
From Corrado Bar, actually, the second goal of the game, in the game.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, look, from their point of view, to not even get a point is disappointing. And I think with Michael Carrick, they just need... With Middlesbrough, it's not like the performances are being particularly bad or anything. If you look at, I mean, again, depends if you're a hipster that hates XG or if you embrace XG. But like,
that's me as a former IT student, I love that data. So
fair enough. Well, in which case you'll love it then. Like yeah, that is quite funny though. I didn't used to like XG, but I'm starting to take more notice of it now. But the XG stats do suggest that Middlesbrough performance-wise aren't doing too badly. It's just converting decent performances into results and to stop slipping up at the other end. Like, so they have had good moments within games recently, and they're clearly capable of good results, as the win at West Brom suggested. But it's just a matter of building consistency onto that. But yeah, again, to flip it back to Watford, really, really good job, and maybe Tom Cleverley might have a chance of still being there at the end of the season. Who knows?
Who knows? Especially if you
now I've said that, I've just put the kiss of death on it. But
I think we all listen. We always put a kiss of death for something on a Watford manager.
Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true.
Especially if the Pozzo family does listen to this, I think they probably will be looking at thinking, "Yeah, you say that, but we
Watford just to casually disregard the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Just ignore that. Pretend it never happened.
So let's go to the Hawthorns. I have to say, West Brom had 79 possession, but they couldn't break Millwall down in a 0-0 draw yesterday. And I have to say, Millwall played really well defensively, despite not having much of the ball.
And have you noticed that Millwall had, well, as you're looking at BBC, Millwall had more shots on target than West Brom did.
They did,
which was very surprising, actually. Yeah, right. Again, this is a bit similar to Burnley for me, because if you're West Brom, because it's now 3. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not. I think West Brom will still be fine, but it's obviously 3 games without a win now. If you assess this week they've just had, to get back to 2-2 at Sheffield and not get a point would be annoying. I certainly would be if we'd done that. Then you lose at home to Borough. Okay, Borough aren't a bad side, but then you really needed to back that up by winning this game, didn't you? But so from West Brom's point of view, it was an opportunity missed, because where could they have gone if they won this game? They could have gone joint. They would have gone joint top with Sunderland and Sheffield United had they beaten Millwall at home. But this seems to me like a classic example of like how a team that's lower down the table and is probably, like, again, stereotypically like a Millwall, for example, is able to go to a place like West Brom and is able to essentially really frustrate them. And from Millwall's point of view, that's a really, really, probably one of the best results of the season, to go to really go and limit West Brom to, I think it was only 3 shots on target. I need to double check. Yeah, to limit West Brom, who are not a bad team, to 3 shots on target at the Hawthorns is really, really encouraging. So I think for Millwall, I think Neil Harris will be delighted with that result. And it just sort of keeps things ticking over. I think Millwall won in midweek. Yeah, no, sorry,
Yeah.
no, they didn't. They lost at Cardiff.
No,
Um,
they did lose at Cardiff. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
See, but does that not then sum up the Championship, though? Like, they can lose a bottom club Cardiff at the time and then
Yeah.
go away to the Hawthorns and then pick up a result. Saying that, they did win last week against Preston, so at least it's like, it kind of ticks it over a bit. But yeah, no, from Millwall, really, really good results in the grand scheme of things. From West Brom, look, they're still 2 points off top, so it's not like, it's not like suicidal at this point in the season, but it's just one where if, say, West Brom miss out on the playoffs by, or even the top two, dare say, by, say, 2 points, they look back at a game like this and go, ugh, what if we'd just beaten Millwall at home? But yeah, so as you can imagine, a bit similar to Preston at Burnley. Really good dogged performance and result from Millwall. When West Brom, like Burnley, missed opportunity, but as we know, there's loads of football still to be played.
Absolutely, there is loads of football still to be played as well. Let's go to today's game, Sunday's game. I didn't watch the game at Ashton Gate, actually between in the seven-side derby. Uh, Bristol City drew 1-1 against Cardiff, but Cardiff could have had another back-to-back wins, but Luke Manali scored through a header. You watched a bit of the game.
I
Tell me
watched a
what
lot
you
of it, yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I think this game, I think the first half was a bit like, not much really happened in the first half for me. I think it was quite a dull, which to be fair suited Cardiff in the way that they were trying to go about things. So as the away team, you're going to try and initially frustrate the home crowd and to try and get them to turn on the players' backs a little bit, or at least get them frustrated. And they succeeded in doing that. So obviously, at the first half, not really as much happened. But to be fair to Ollie Tanner, take a bow, because like he did a magical bit of skill to beat two Bristol City players going into the box, and then manages to rifle a shot as accurately as you possibly can into the top left corner. And Bristol City had no chance of stopping. They really had no chance of stopping that. Their keeper was just like completely short-sighted in the sense O'Leary just flew right past him. He couldn't have stopped it. And then from the next 5 minutes after that, Bristol City were really there for the taking for Cardiff, because they had at least one really, really good chance within minutes after going in front. Didn't take it. There was an excellent opportunity to go 2-0 up from probably outside the 6-yard box. And then, of course, it's the classic phrase, as you know, don't take your chances, you can get punished at the other end. And to be fair, Bristol City grew into the game after that for me and just about probably deserved to get level. Hang on, I need to see if we get this guy's first name. Is it Joe Williams? No, not Joe Williams. Hang on. Bristol City's right back. I know his surname's Williams. I'm trying to remember who it is. I should have really prepared this, shouldn't I?
We're not always prepared for it, so that's the best thing about it. So, you can't
Joe
be,
Williams, sorry. There you go.
You can't be a perfectionist, right? We all can't.
No, definitely not. Well, one quick, I will mention while I remember to say it. Hang on, just spotted it here.
I think I won't say Johnny Williams, but I might be wrong with that one. So.
No, I was thinking Johnny Williams, who used to play for us. Right, and first of all, Cameron Pring, as we probably saw, was stretchered off in the first half. So obviously, thoughts go out to him. And hopefully, he manages to recover. But if you're going off on a stretcher, it doesn't look like a particularly good injury. But Joe Williams, to be fair, does exceptional for Bristol City's equaliser when Cardiff are trying to break, and he chases down a loose ball, manages to win it, gets down the right hand side, and I don't know if you've seen the goal, but it's a peach perfect cross that comes from the right hand side. It loops over everyone as perfect an angle as you can imagine, and then Luke McNally at the back post basically heads it in. It's a pretty good header as well. From that point, Bristol City looked like they're more likely to win it. But I don't think either team deserved to win. I don't think either team did enough to really warrant the other team losing, if that makes sense. So you could say it's a better point for Cardiff in the sense that at least it builds on their winning midweek, and they close the gap to 3 points to 21st. There was quite a few boos at the end of the game, mind, from the Bristol City supporters. So I do wonder with Lee. I mean, this is why I wish we had Annie on here. He could have said it for himself, but I can imagine that there's going to be more growing frustrations with Liam Manning, and if they don't. I don't know whether it's because of performances or whatever else it is, but the fixture list isn't kinder to them because after the international break, they go to Middlesbrough, then they have a trip to Stoke, who are starting to pick up a little bit, and then they have yourselves at the end of October. So that is not going to be particularly great. And then obviously before the November international break, they go to Preston, then host Sheffield United before travelling to Norwich. So yeah, pretty tricky fixtures to come for Bristol City, safe to say. They're still 4 points above the relegation zone, but I get the impression if you're a Bristol City fan, a draw's meh, but you would have hoped for more.
Yeah, absolutely is. Right, let's go to the last game. Before we do, I'm gonna play this background music, this sound effects. It will just make completely sense if you're a Leeds fan.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn ugly ass on.
Yeah, that summed it up. That part, hell no, but that summed it up completely as a Leeds fan. When somehow it's probably the worst howlers of all time now, along with Tasabi at Manchester United, Paul Eckerman at Aston Villa. Who else can I say as well? Yeah, there's a few I can name on that list, but boy, yeah.
This is there's a reason we saved this till last. Yeah,
It is, yeah. Elan Meslier probably had the worst moments at the time as a Leeds United goalkeeper, where he actually somehow missed the ball when it was deflected. It went to the wrong side when he anticipated the ball was going to come to him, and then but somehow it's counted as a junior third, but own goal now, Michael. After now they've corrected it for the juniors goal committee, but yes, it was a 2-2 draw, and Leeds could have won this game if that moment didn't ever happen.
right. Where do you start with this one? Here's a funny one, right? So, the own goal credit to junior football. This is not the first time at Sunderland that this has happened. When a player scores against us and then effectively gets a point for us.
Yeah.
Before we got promoted from League One in the run up to the promotion season under Alex Neil, we played Rotherham at home. April 2022. Michael Ahikwe, who's now at Sheffield Wednesday, he scored a header against us and then scores a great diving header for us to get a point. So, yeah, maybe we're the curse for defenders. If you score against us, you have to score one for us by the looks of it. But obviously, it's not Firpool's fault, this. So, if I'm taking it back to the rest of the game, I think Sunderland started really, really well. I was actually pretty amazed how we put you on the back foot really, really effectively. We managed to get down the wings. We really were putting some dangerous crosses into the box and were causing quite a few problems. I was speaking to another Leeds fan on Twitter, actually, funny enough, and I'm keen to see what your thoughts are on this. He said something to the effect of that we have been the side that have caused you the most problems in terms of getting direct, going down the wings, and in terms of general performance. I know Pompey scored 3 goals, but by the sound of it from that game, it was a game you dominated. They were just very clinical. Yeah. Whereas at the start of the game, I felt Sunderland deserved the lead when we got it. And obviously, look, the defensive, but talking about Meslier, he makes a great save. The cross comes into the box. Dennis Serkin at the back post fires a shot straight at goal. Meslier does really well to get to that, to make a really good save. And then it's unfortunate, really, because then it parries into the path of Chris Rigg, who's 1 yard from in front of an empty net. You know, if he missed it, it would have been probably the worst miss I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some real shite at Sunderland, so I wouldn't put it past us. I've seen people miss from a couple of yards out. So, but no, Rigg, we all know the talent Chris Rigg's got. He is going to be a star in the making, and the more he does well now, the harder we're going to have to keep hold of him unless we go up.
It's going to be hard. It will be hard because
exactly
for a 17-year-old, he doesn't. It looks like he's the world is.
World's his oyster, isn't it? Yeah, the world's his oyster at 17 years old. And remember, he had elite clubs after him in the summer. So for us to tie him down, I've said this before, so I won't bore people with it again. For us to tie him down was really, really good. But if we don't get promoted, I'd be very, very surprised if Chris Riggs here next season.
Will release clause in this new contract extension as well?
Well, if we get a contract extension out of him, yes, possibly. But he signed a 3-year deal, which goes till June 2027. So
I would sign another one.
I would hope so. Yeah, if we can get him to agree to one, then yes, I would definitely do it. But worst case scenario, you don't, and we don't get promoted, we should be in a very good position to command a fee next summer.
You will do.
You know, and as we should be.
I sent you the squad comparison with our squads early today. Your squad cost about £5 million. Ours is about 90 million pounds, which is a huge.
Oh, absolutely, amount. Yeah. I mean, there's not many non-parachute teams that can come up against that. This is why I keep on saying, with our model and the way we're doing it, this is the only way you're going to have a chance of bridging the gap to parachute clubs that are going to have way more resources. Having 1 year in the Premier League, you get more for being in the Premier League, don't you, than like winning the Bundesliga or something. It's mental. Yeah. So, but either way, Chris Rigg, obviously it was a simple finish, but we know the lad's got quality. Then I felt you guys really came into the game and we really started to struggle to really contain you. And one thing, and I thought we were going to set up exactly the same way how we beat Middlesbrough a couple of weeks ago when we were very solid, compact, hard to break down. But yous are a different level in class to Middlesbrough. I think yous have definitely been by some way the best team I've watched us play this season. Even though at times I felt like, the stats say we matched you in terms of shots on and off target. There was one shot difference each way, but in patches, the way you guys move the ball was just something I've not seen any other Championship team do. And for me, the man of the match across the whole game was Willie Gnonto on the right side, I think it was.
He was on the right side.
Right side, yeah. Willie Gnonto, we could not live with him. And Dennis Cirkin is not a shit fullback either. So
no, he's not. And I was like I said, both you. I would say the same thing back to you. You are a very compacted team. You're well compacted. You know the players know their roles. You know how to
exactly
the whips around. Yeah, you're good at that. You're probably the best team we've played this season as well. The opposition team we played this season.
Oh, there you go. Shake hands for the draw if it went for Melly, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But the point I'm making, that's a compliment towards how well Gnonto played, because he was unplayable at his best in this game. And okay, the first Leeds goal shouldn't have stood for me. It was offside.
It was a close one.
It's a close one, but his arm does play him off. Having said that, it ain't your problem. If you get a goal like that, if you get a goal like that, you take it. You're not going to go, sorry, mate, my goal, I'm offside. Can you please discount the goal? Nobody is ever going to say that.
No, because they want an extra gauge. It's just like,
exactly. So, but look, Peru, as much as I wasn't impressed with us defensively for the goal, but he did well to get away from Chris Metham. It was clever movement from Peru obviously it's a header that you have to direct on target. You had a bit more space to aim for.
The ball was at the right pace. He just controlled that pace.
Absolutely,
he didn't do anything else. So.
And again, Gnonto got the assist for both goals, didn't he? So that's a really good cross. Gnonto's cross is pitch perfect. It was really put well onto a plate for him, but you have to make the movement to make the chance in the first place, don't you?
You do.
So. Yeah, and then sorry, go on. I'll let you finish before I go on to the second half.
And then he created another assist for Firpo as well. I love how not done to the celebration and something like that. With his big smile,
no comment. I hate stuff like that, me. But
if his big smile with the big.
If it's for your team, you like it, don't you? If it's against you, you absolutely detest it.
And he knew what he did. He was like,
of course he did. All I'll say is he looked very stupid given what happened at the end. But I know what you. Well, to some degree, he had a really good game. Anyway, first, Sunderland ended the first half better, actually. Once we started to settle down again, we did start to create better chances. Joe Bellingham had a shot that if he passed it was a shot that was deflected wide, but if he passed to Mundle, we would have been in a really good opposition chance to score there. There was a slightly kind of a half chance from Patrick Roberts in the box when he skins Firpo, maybe not skins him, but he gets the better of him and then manages to shoot straight at Meslier, but that's by the by. Second half, I felt Sunderland actually started all right, but without really creating anything.
Danger,
we did all right.
Had a better game management.
Well, I'll get onto that, but apparently some of our fans were saying there should have been that you got a free kick that shouldn't have been in the build up to the second goal, but I've not seen anything to suggest that.
No.
To me, there wasn't anything wrong with your second goal, but I haven't seen the coverage back yet. So maybe
I think it's the one where Joe Arundel got fouled by Mundell. And but your player played the ball quite well, and he just got a bit of road and went down. That's what happened. Yeah.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Well, either way, whether that was given or wasn't given, it doesn't matter. It wasn't given, and you still have to play to the whistle. So I think Firpo did really well to get into the box. He did a 1-2 with Gnonto. Again, from a defensive point of view, I wasn't too impressed with how easy it was. But again, I'm trying to be realistic in that you guys have got the ability to do that. So, once you got ahead, I felt like your game management from then on was actually really, really good. I felt you were very good at frustrating, because I'm struggling. I think there was one half chance from Trey Hume on the edge of the box that was either blocked or it was deflected. Apart from that, I'm struggling to remember anything massively clear-cut we created. And that was why I said on my own match video on my own channel, go and subscribe if you want to, by the way. But I said it on there that I felt Leeds, from a game management perspective, just about edged it, and for me, probably just about deserved to win it. You could argue, and across the 90 minutes, Sunderland did enough to gain a point. But I think if we did deserve a point, it's the best we deserved, put it that way. I don't think we would have deserved any more than that. But from Leeds' point of view, they did really well at doing the stuff that I hate. But if you're winning, you're going to do this. Going on the floor, time wasting, taking the sting out of the game. And yes, there was criticism from some of your fans I saw for why you sat back when you went 2-1 up.
But you know what? That's the problem. That was what's been the missing part of last season, that we didn't do much
Yeah.
under Daniel Farker. And I think the fans need to be a bit more patient. Say, what do you want? Do you want us to shut out shot after we're trying to keep a lead? Or do you want us to keep going all attacking and then
then just go, oh shit, counter-attack 2-2. You know,
Exactly.
like that's, you know, it's exactly the sort of thing that it's just lunacy. If you're going to be able to keep someone out, why would you risk a move and commit going forward? It doesn't, you know, it's and to be honest, it's not necessarily your tactics worked. It's only thanks to a freak moment that it didn't work. 9 times out of 10 that gets you the win. So this just happened to be the one time. In fact, 99 times out of 100 that probably gets you the win. This is just the anomaly it's the exception rather than the rule. This. So you could say that Leeds did sit back, but again, what did Sunderland really create the last half an hour that was really like clear cut and going, oh my God, should score? I'm struggling to remember. We created half chances, but we didn't create anything that was really like really memorable from what I can remember. I need to watch it back. And then, of course, the time goes on, the time's ticking down. And again, I'm a big believer. I don't like time wasting. Even when we do it, I'm not keen on it. But that's not the fault of the team for doing it. That's the fault of the referee for allowing it to happen. It's not the fault of Leeds in this instance. Then you get to the 90s. Then you get, obviously, I know the moment you're going to hate talking about. We get to the 96th minute or 97th minute. And then Patterson basically does a hopeful ball into the box. I can't remember. There was a header. One might have been by Firpo.
It was by Firpo.
Firpo does the initial header. Brown then takes basically. It was going to be a hopeful cross, I think, but it then somehow bounces off Firpo. And what should have happened was that Meslier should have gathered that, and you end up getting a 2-1 win.
Yeah.
And then of course the Sky commentary says it best. He goes, "Oh, what's he done?" And honestly, my literal reaction inside the stadium when that went in was this.
Speechless,
I was utterly speechless. Like from partly, so I didn't actually celebrate the goal. 2 reasons. One, because from a very selfish point of view, and this isn't a criticism of Sunderland, it's a me thing. When we go in front and we don't win, I'm always annoyed because we haven't done our job defensively.
Yeah.
But having said that, again, we're not going to face teams like Leeds every week, so I have to accept that. But it was more because I was just going, how the hell has that gone in? Like, I couldn't. Everyone around me was going absolutely mental, and so you should for a last gap equaliser, which that point basically kept us top of the division going in the international break. And really, you should really be on level on points with us. But that was just, and I know Meslier will know himself. I mean, look, I'm not going to hammer the guy too much because goalkeepers, when you make a mistake, you're going to notice it a lot more. Unfortunately for Meslier, that's going to be replayed on Sky Sports over and over again, isn't it?
Majority of the criticism from our fans, which I'm going to say this, and I'm looking.
Go for it.
Right, he's only 24. He is not in his peak of a goalkeeper. Other goalkeepers such as Alisson, Edison, any other goalkeepers, past goalkeepers like Casillas, Buffon, they all have made mistakes leading up to goals. And even Paul Robinson's made a mistake against Croatia, which we're not going to talk about much, because that was a similarities with But
Buffon, Van der Sar have all made mistakes.
Even Van der Sar made mistakes. But I'm going to even make that mistake when his clean sheet record got broken by Peter Lovenkrands against Newcastle years ago. So I don't know. Do you know what? And I'm looking at this record and the goalkeepers that we've had, and I did say we've had since Paul Robson and Nigel were the 2 best goalkeepers. We've had Neil Sullivan, we've had Kasper Angrigan, Paul Robopka, Kasper Schmeichel, Paddy Kenny, Felix Veldwald, Bailey Peacock-Finel, racist bastard himself, Kiko Casilla, who made a lot of mistakes for us. They did towards the end of Bielsa's first season. He made a lot of mistakes for us. We had Christoph Clarkson, Joe Robles, Carl Dowlow, and Alex Kearns. The only person that's made more plays out of the goalkeepers I've mentioned, out of probably between over than Nigel Martin and Paul Robinson, is Elam Meza. He's made over 200 appearances. His record of 11 clean sheets under age 21 has never been broken. He finished the season with 11 clean sheets in Leeds' first season back in the Premier League. He became the first goalkeeper under 21 to record 11 clean sheets.
Yeah, I think. If Leeds fans really want to make yourself feel better, just go and watch the season we got relegated to League One and look at the keepers we had that season. That's all I'll say. Like, it was mental. But the thing is, for Meslier, unfortunately, I think a lot of fans of maybe the likes of Sunderland and Leeds, very, very passionate historic fan bases. Unfortunately, if you're wanting the finished article of a player, he's not going to be playing in the Championship. It's,
No.
I think a lot of people have to accept that, and I think it's harder for people than probably what they want to admit to accept it. But that is just the reality. And ultimately, if you look at Meslier, like it's a shame really because look at the save he made in the first half from Dennis Serkin in the build-up to our first goal. That gets forgotten about because of what's happened here. He knows he'll have made a mistake, and it was one that did cost you 2 points, absolutely. But at the end of the day, that was from a Leeds team perspective. You were seconds away from probably, I would imagine, probably what would have been seen as the best result of the season had you won.
Yeah.
And on the surface, again, in the circumstances, obviously not. But before the game, would Leeds fans have been so distraught with a draw at the Stadium of Light, considering we'd won our first 4 without conceding a goal? And bear in mind, 2 of those opposition were Burnley and Borough as well, just for context. So, look, obviously, yeah, you should have won. In the circumstances, if it was the other way around, I'd be absolutely livid. I'd be gutted. But either way, I think a point at least... here's a way of looking at it. The point at least keeps it still so tight at the top. I mean, I know you've got the table ready to come out in a minute, but I'll put it up now if you want to make, because it's irrelevant to the point I was going to make. Burnley didn't... Look at it this way. Sheffield United won, obviously. Burnley dropped points. Blackburn dropped points. A lot of teams within the top 6 did not win. It could have been a hell of a lot worse than what it ended up being. So, yes, Meslier, obviously he knows how bad the mistake was. But I think from Leeds' point of view, if you bounce back and beat Sheffield United, which I do fancy you to, at Ellen Road, then that gets forgotten about. And if you look at it really, I know you've got 5 points this week, haven't you? You beat Coventry, and then you've had 2 pretty tough away games, I would say, in Norwich and Sunderland away, all within 3 days of each other.
And we're losing 2 of our key players as well.
And by the way, I will say, I will also say for you, I think Joe Rothwell, I can't remember, I heard Nick Barnes, one of our commentators or journalists, say he's more of an attacking midfielder. I could be wrong on that.
Yes, that is true.
If he is able to come in defensive midfield, and I thought he made a few good defence splitting passes, if he can do that, and that's your depth, then that says a lot about probably what the level of player that you actually have. And I think obviously if Meslier continues to make mistakes like that, then you can't afford that if you want to be in the top 2 over the course of a whole season. But if this is an anomaly, I don't know, because I've heard some Leeds fans really don't rate Meslier, so you'll know better than me.
It's a weird thing, and I don't know why we have this obsession of this. Majority of Leeds fans hate Meslier for no reason. He cost us £6 million. Do you know what? We might not have got promoted in the second season without in Bielsa's second season without his saves. Because if Casilla, after the ban he had, Casilla could have been back in it. He could have made a lot of mistakes. Would have cost our promotion race completely. What would you rather have? Would you have he was a former Champions League winner, but that doesn't mean he was the best goalkeeper other than Casillas if you're number 2 behind him. And then he makes so much mistakes. He did get sent off in one of the games. I think it was against Brentford or Sheffield United that first season because Peacock Farnell was throwing his primes out because he wasn't getting more games, so he left. Well, because Bielsa was not the game because he made mistakes as well. So to quite honest with you, no one has been a better goalkeeper other than Paul Robertson.
Ignore that. That was a mistake.
Other than Paul Robertson, Casper Angler is one of the top goalkeepers I've seen in Leeds, and even Casper Stranker, he had 1 season with us. Who has been the better goalkeeper since the years after? It's probably Eli Meslier. Yes, he's made the most saves, but you know what? He's only 20. He's in his mid-20s. A goalkeeper's not even in a world-class goalkeeper yet. So his cost is going to say he was goalkeeper. He was our goalkeeper at 19, 20 years old. Cut him some freaking slack for crying out loud. Yes, he will accept the criticism. That's fine, but don't go back above and beyond to be vile, because we've had this. This is why I don't post so much about Leeds United, because I'm like, our fans is just. It's mayhem. It's like they don't have, 1 minute we're all nice, we're all happy together, but the next minute we draw or loss. It's just like everyone just like wants to blame someone for it, and we just have this problem, and that's why I've had to look at my Twitter interests and stuff. I'm just like, you know what, I'm cutting back from these because some of these people are just too crazy as hell.
I know we've had exactly the same. Whenever we've dropped points in a game, like others, like I gave you an example, we won our first 4 games, then we lose at Plymouth, and some of our fans on social media on Twitter just completely lost their minds. I'm like, calm down. Like, goodness me. If you're expecting to go the entire season without dropping any points whatsoever, go and support Manchester City then.
I know.
Go and support Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Go and support PSG in La Liga. Sorry, Ligue 1, I mean. Like, you're going to drop points in games. It's not even, and even the best teams drop points from time to time. It's something called realism. That's how it ends up working. Look,
that's the problem with our fans is they don't understand the realism compared to I do, because at least I'm more the sensible Leeds fans. That's why I think people. That's why I like people. You like yourself, Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV, and the rest of the other content creators. They like me because I'm more in the realism than the bloody some of the Leeds fans in the fantasy world.
I think as well, right, if we're taking a step back, obviously, Meslier, look, he'll bounce back from it. Daniel Farke will be having an arm round him over the international break, unless he goes away on international duty.
He doesn't know he's only been in the under-21 squad for France. Okay. He's never got away in, because that French goalkeeper's squad is so talented. He can't even get in. He couldn't get in the Premier League.
Okay. Fair enough, right? Well, in which case then, I'd imagine a lot of what Daniel Farke will be doing over the next 2 weeks is just reminding him, look, you're still a big part of my plans. Look, and if you saw with the way everyone rallied round him, like Leeds squad, I know Firpo went off, and I can understand, because in the moment you're frustrated because he ended up getting the own goal.
At least your manager, who did coach him at Lorient Academy, could solve it, because and a lot of Leeds fans don't know some fans really kicked. Yeah.
Some fans really kicked. I mean, I didn't know that, to be fair, until like yesterday, I think it was. But I was thinking,
told you guys,
oh yeah, you did, to be fair. But like either way, I was looking, why is everyone kicking off so much? Like you're allowed to associate with the opposition team, like you don't have to just be like solitary confinement to your own team on the pitch. Like some people just twisted anything for me. But like either way, if you take a step back for the team, right, you dispatch Coventry, you've drawn away at Norwich. You were 1-0 down in that game, I believe, weren't you, as well?
Yeah.
Then, should have won at Sunderland. That would have been a massive 3 points had you got it. But at the end of the day, you've done something nobody else has managed to do at Sunderland yet. You've managed to take something from the game and head back down to Yorkshire with a point. Yes, it should have been 3. But before the game, would Leeds fans have been snubbing their nose up at a draw? I can't imagine that they would have done. I understand that obviously you want to try and close the gap to Sunderland, but I think our fancy is to beat Sheffield United. And I think if you beat Sheffield United, then it's not forgotten, but you can put it behind you and move on. And let's not forget, there's still 37 games left to play. Like, there's still loads and loads of... Yes, if you miss out on top 2, like I said earlier with Coventry, with West Brom, with top 2 or playoffs, if you miss out by 2 points, yes, people will look back at that moment. But equally, there's also been moments where you probably won points in the last minute. Portsmouth, for example, you managed to get a draw late on, and you should have won that late on, quite frankly.
Missed that, yeah, exactly, yeah. And then everyone was on Alisson's back, and then a few games later he turned up. I'm like, bloody hell, what more do you want?
I know some football fans are just fucking mental. I'm struggling.
This is why I don't post much on social media much, especially when it comes to Leeds United fans, because I'm one of the sensible ones.
I wish I did that. Put it that way. Well, okay then. If I was to get back to you guys, right? If I look at your fixtures, so I always look at it between international breaks. So between this one and the next one, Sheffield United at home, Watford at home, Bristol City at Ashton Gate, Plymouth at home, trip to Millwall, QPR at home. In fact, even if you want to go further than that, once you play QPR at home, Swansea away, Luton at home, Blackburn away. Then you get into December, Derby at home, Middlesbrough at home, Preston away, Oxford at home, Stoke away, Derby away. For the rest of the calendar year, to be honest, the main trickier fixtures you've probably got on paper are like Middlesbrough, possibly Blackburn to a lesser degree, and Sheffield United. But if you look at that, that's a bloody good run of fixtures. Like, that's a really good run of games. And I think this is where, if you get on a run of saying, for every 5 games you win at least 3 of them, draw 2 or draw 1, lose 1, whatever it is, then you're going to be right up there. You still need to be I've always said, for top 2, you need to be aiming, I think Benjamin Bloom says this all the time, be at the 2 points per game mark. Now, yes, okay, say you win the next 2 games at home. You're above 2 points per game then, you're at 2 points per game. It changes very quickly. You're 3 points off the top of the table. Like, it's not like, and again, we're not even a quarter of the way through the season yet. We're barely a fifth of the way through the season yet. So, from Leeds' point of view, I think coming away from Norwich away and Sunderland away, bear in mind you have to travel from one extreme to the other, don't you, in terms of country distance. But if you take away from that and you respond with a couple of victories at home, then I think suddenly those draws don't look anywhere near as bad. And from Sunderland's point of view, considering I didn't think that we played what we could do, but I think that's partly how good you were, certainly in spells of the game. I think from our point of view, that was a massive point, and to build on the win against Derby in midweek. So, and I suppose it swings and roundabouts, because last week we lost at Watford when we shouldn't have lost, and you can say, and so it's kind of evens out when we drew on Friday when we really shouldn't have drawn. So, you know what? I think both teams just take the point and then look to build on it once the international breaks come to an end.
Absolutely. And I want to know, Leeds fans, who can you suggest me a name who replaced Meslier? Please tell me, because if you're not going to come up with the solutions, I know. I just want to know. If you think you're the expert, tell me, because you have to dedicate so much speed to goalkeeper. You have to with the reaction time, vice versa. Because when a deflection shot, your reaction time is not. You gotta be quick, but you can't be. You're not gonna be successful all the time. So I want to know who could replace Meslier, because in the long term, if he does get bought, because I feel like at some point, if he don't get promoted, he will be sold to a Premier League club. And I can guarantee he will do a little bit more better than be treated by better fans if we don't treat him properly well.
I think another thing to look at it is if that's the question. If there's these fans that might think you can get someone better than Meslier, okay. I suppose the question would be who realistically can Leeds get at the moment in the Championship who's better than Meslier? Because you can say, oh, I don't know, I want Dean Henderson. Yeah, but he's in the Premier League. I know that obviously that's a flippant comment. I know Leeds fans aren't suggesting that, but like, you know what I mean? Like people that fans want clubs to sign. Well, oh, you want a Premier League level player? Well, there's only one way to get them: be in the Premier League, and that's how you do it. So, like, I think and it's not just Leeds fans, to be fair. Sunderland fans have done this before. A lot of fans have done this. I think sometimes some people need to take a step back, especially on social media, and think, hang on, look at the bigger picture here. Like, let's wait and see. If you happen to go on a run where you lose 4 of your next 5, then, that is not acceptable. But frankly, you've got a squad that's way too good not to be at least in a... I think, who was it who said at the start of the season, said to you, I think it was Annie that said, if your squad's performing, you're at least at very worst top 4. Something like that. Yeah, at very worst, you're top 4. And to be honest, if you want to compare... I'll give you an example. I'll compare you to Burnley and Middlesbrough, because we beat both of them and they're tipped to do well. You look comfortably streets ahead of Borough. Borough have got the quality, but on the day I was not impressed by Borough at all. They had Tommy Conway hit the bar in the first 6 minutes, and apart from that, did next to nothing. Burnley, I can appreciate they were in a transitional phase at the time, but they still had the likes of Vitinho before he was sold, by the way. Brownhill, their defence was exactly the same, except for Dara O'Shea, that scored 9 goals in their first 2 games. Lyle Foster still played, James Trafford still played, Jay Rodriguez was still playing there. And you've looked streets ahead of them. Like, it's not even close for me in terms of who ended up looking better. And bear in mind, you've had your own, and you can say, oh, Burnley had turmoil. Well, yeah, you guys lost Somerville, Gray, Kamara, and Ruta all in the summer and had to replace them. Is that not a bit of turmoil? So it just works both ways. I think if you play like you did and move the ball like you did and we know what you can play, I would still be very surprised, unless something disastrous happens, if you are not in the automatic promotion places, or at least, very worst, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens during the international break.
I'll say one last thing before we move on from this video. I'm hoping, let's just say that when you see something like, I'm trying to give an example of a club, like Brentford versus Brighton or Brentford Ipswich being a Premier League fixture. No. This fixture should be a Premier League one.
Thank you.
Leeds Sunderland should be a Premier League fixture any day of the week.
Yeah, do you know what? And I back you on that one, because it was always a Premier League fixture, and it still is a Premier League fixture in both of our eyes.
Well, hopefully in the 25-26 Premier League season it is.
I hope so.
Let's see.
That's our goal. So our goal. We have to help each other to get in the Premier League. If that worst case scenario the best case scenario is if we just both our teams just get when you come to us, we just take a draw. I think we'll be happier for both of our sides. Even though I would take a win, but I would prefer to have a draw if it's the scenario.
Well, let's just say that. Oh, I see what you mean. You mean drawing the reverse fixture. Well, drawing the reverse fixture, and that point helps us get both. Okay, Let's say if you win the league, and I couldn't give a shit about winning the league. To be honest, if you offered me second, I'd be buzzing with that.
I wouldn't care as well. I would care if one of us finishes second, but if we finish up top and you finish second, it would be best for both parties.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, do I think we get top 2? I don't know whether we have the depth for top 2 yet. I think we're definitely good enough for me to be in the playoffs, but whether top 2 is a different question. My gut still says you and Burnley will do it, but if you look at it, Burnley going forward at the minute, and this is from Burnley, one channel on a Burnley fan channel, saying at the minute it's not quite clicking in attack for them.
Yeah.
So I think we both look better at the minute than Burnley going forward. At the moment, I am stressed to say that can change, but I tipped you and Burnley for top 2 at the start of the season. I'm confident you will get there. Us, well, fingers crossed, everything falls into place and we do get there. So yeah, if we're both top 2 at the end of the season, then we'll see. Then happy days for the pair of us.
Absolutely, indeed. Right, let's finish off with the league table in the Championship as well. So at the top, Sunderland still at the top of the table, with Sheffield United moving to second. They're the only unbeaten team in the Championship. Burnley, West Brom also did drop points along with Leeds. Watford and Norwich are the only 2 teams that moved up into the top 7. See down at the bottom, going to the bottom of the table. See here, Portsmouth are still the only team that have not won any games yet. Along with Cardiff City still bottom, getting a draw against if they won, they could have gone above Portsmouth and Queen's Park Rangers. And Coventry in 20th place with their post-start run to the season as well. And so is Luton Town as well in 21st place. Yeah, so that is a lot to say on that one. For that one. But, Michael, there's no games now for the next 2 weeks of international break in the Championship and
no,
the
there is
Premier
not.
League.
No, there is not. Do you know, to be fair, like it feels weird because we're going into 2 international breaks in a row, top of the league, which is really mental. The one other thing I forgot to say is actually, if you look at 4 of our first 9 fixtures, we've played Leeds, Burnley, Borough, and then Watford, who are in the top 6. So like it's quite scary. But yeah, no, we've gone through that. Either way, yeah, this is where you can watch England play. Who we've got? Finland and Iceland.
Finland and Greece. Yeah.
Finland and Greece. Okay, there you go then. So it's not too much different, really. Yeah, we'll see how this ends up going. The good thing is after the November international break, we don't have one for 4 months after that. So
I know.
But at the same time, it's also good if you have players that are maybe a bit rusty and everything, then it's maybe good to give them a bit of time to get back. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, before we go, I've got some other football news, some breaking news in the last hour. So Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Juventus are going to terminate Paul Pogba's contract after they have made a mutual agreement, and he will become a free agent after he got his drug ban reduced to 18 months. So that has been confirmed.
I was just going to make a joke and go, Leeds United are delighted to confirm the signing of Paul Pogba for the rest of the 24-25
in our boogie dreams.
And only imagine, you only cost like 500 or 300 grand a week.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not going to debate.
Hey, Paul, mate, do you fancy taking a 90% wage cut to go and play Luton away?
Oh, you're like...
Imagine a way to try and sell that.
Yeah, no, that's true. It would have to be a huge seller.
Yeah.
Especially, oh God, yeah.
Do you want to play at the Kassam Stadium, man? Imagine that he's gone from playing at Juventus to playing at the Kassam instead.
Oh my God.
No disrespect. I quite like Oxford, but yeah, it's just an easy thing to beat them with, but it is quite amusing.
It's in my... Well, we're both our artistic brains. It's in that fantasy world that we think we could get these players, but yeah, it ain't gonna happen with that one.
Weirdly, in the Premier League, I wouldn't rule it out totally. It's unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out totally. But yeah, in the Championship,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
But Michael, stranger things have happened.
I know, true. Stranger things has happened. Michael, as always, thank you very much. Enjoy your 2-week break, and I will see you back. And probably we should just do this pre-recording going on now because
I think we should. We just seem to keep messing up when there's something keeps happening when we try to go live. So
I know, and I'm because I'm going to have to go live next Saturday for the Saturday show again. I know Douglas is not going to be on because he was yesterday for the football show. He was at Comic-Con. So he was at Comic-Con at Scotland yesterday.
Oh well, I'm a big nerd, so I approve of that.
yeah. And but what I've next weekend because today as a Sunday it's his wife's birthday, and then tomorrow Monday it's his son's first birthday.
Well, if you want, you can always do a live stream for like Crawley versus Shrewsbury, Peterborough versus Rotherham, or Stockport versus Wickham instead.
Well, do you know what? Speaking of that, I have got some bigger plans, and it's not confirmed yet. But at the moment, as I did announce yesterday, I have actually taken early retirement due to a disability. So there may be more chances by the end of this year. There will be more watch-alongs going forward. So
I like
watch this space.
There you go, guys. Hold it out. He's teasing you. Watch this space to see what happens.
Absolutely. But listen, thank you very much for all of you to watch. I will be doing a recorded. I will hopefully be back on Wednesday with the rest of the roundup of the Premier League and also also the European leagues and the Scottish Premier Leagues, along with EFL Leagues 1, Leagues 2. But I am back on Saturday at a later time at 11:30 on next Saturday for the Saturday show. But everyone have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Take it for now. Bye bye.